Have you ever stopped to think about what really separates the Emperor of Japan from, say, the King of the United Kingdom? I mean, on the surface, they might seem pretty similar, right? But the differences are actually huge and, honestly, pretty fascinating. So let's dive in and break down what makes Japan's monarchy truly one of a kind. Okay, let's kick things off with a fact that is just wow. In the entire world today, there is only one reigning monarch who actually holds the title of Emperor. Just one. And you guessed it, it's the Emperor of Japan. We hear about kings and queens all the time, but that unique title alone tells you that we're dealing with something completely different here. So to really get our heads around this, we're gonna look at three main things. First, we'll tackle that unique title. Then, we'll get into these super strict rules about who's next in line. And finally, we'll explore what the emperor actually does in modern Japan, which is all about his symbolic role.
All right, so first up, that title. Why emperor and not king? This isn't just a simple word choice, you know? It's a distinction that has some really deep historical roots. In Japanese, the title is Tennō, but for hundreds of years now, the rest of the world has known the position as emperor. Most other monarchies, of course, use king or queen. By sticking with this distinct title, Japan is signaling a whole different kind of historical and cultural status right out of the gate.
So that begs the question, right? How did emperor become the go-to term for Japan's monarch around the world? Well, the answer, believe it or not, comes from a European visitor way back in the 1600s. Yep, it was a German physician named Engelbert Kaempfer who visited Japan in the 17th century. He wrote this really influential book, History of Japan, and in it, he described the monarch with this very specific phrase, the ecclesiastical hereditary emperor. That choice of words, it just stuck, and it's pretty much shaped how the world has seen the institution ever since. So that's the story behind the title, but who actually gets to inherit it? This brings us to the rules of succession, and this is where Japan's monarchy takes a hard turn away from its European counterparts. And here's where the difference is just crystal clear. Under Japan's Imperial Household Law, the throne can only be passed to a male descendant, and, this is key, only through the male line. Now, think about the United Kingdom. Back in 2013, they changed their laws so the firstborn child gets the throne. Doesn't matter if they're a boy or a girl. It's a really stark contrast. Now, that term, male line, is incredibly specific. It doesn't just mean the heir has to be male, it means the lineage itself has to be traced exclusively through men. So it goes from the emperor to his son, and then to his son's son, and so on. An emperor's daughter can't inherit the throne, and neither can her children. It's a very rigid system. Okay, so we've got the title and we know how it's passed down, but what does the emperor actually do? In today's Japan, his role has nothing to do with political power. It's all about symbolism, and that's a fact that's written right into the nation's constitution. The Constitution of Japan literally defines the emperor as the symbol of the state and of the unity of the people. That right there is the absolute core of his modern identity. He represents the nation, but he doesn't govern it.
And the Constitution is super explicit about the limits of his role. It states, point blank, that the emperor has no powers related to government. His duties are strictly ceremonial, and they're defined as acts in matters of state.
Now, you might see something like appointing the prime minister and think, whoa, that sounds like a lot of power. But here's the catch. These are purely formal duties. The emperor appoints the person who has already been chosen by the Diet, which is Japan's parliament. He's basically ratifying a decision that's already been made. Think of him as the ultimate seal of approval, not the decision maker. So, when you put it all together, this unique title that's rooted in history, an ancient and strict male-only line of succession, and a modern role that is purely symbolic, you start to see a monarchy that is truly unlike any other on Earth. And that leaves us with one final big question. In a world that's changing so fast, how will these unique traditions be carried on into the future?